So now we're ready for Article 4, next article. And generally, Article 4 says when buying or selling, make your position in the transaction known. Your true position we discussed.
Realtors shall not acquire an interest in or buy or present offers from themselves, any member of their immediate families, their firms, or any member thereof, or any entities in which they have an ownership interest, any real property without making their true position known to the owner or the owner's agent or broker. Now, in selling property they own or in which they have any interest, realtors shall reveal their ownership or interest in writing to the purchaser or the purchaser's representative.
So if you're buying property or you're involved in the purchase or sale of property, you need to, as a realtor, disclose your position in the transaction. And what often happens is realtors know enough to disclose that they're licensed. So they disclose in the contract that they're licensed real estate brokers or that they're a licensed real estate salesperson. But that might not tell the whole story.
You have to disclose the true position that you not only have a license, but that you're licensed with the very firm that has the listing. And you know, the other side may know that, the buyer may know that, or the seller may know that, but if it's not in writing, it could serve as a basis for that particular client getting out of the contract.
So if a buyer comes in and makes an offer, and they're working with me and they're going to make an offer on a property that my brokerage firm has listed, that maybe even I own a piece of, I would disclose typically, because I know to do this, I disclose that I'm a real estate broker. And John, what you're saying is I have to disclose more than that. Even though it's known, I have to say I'm a real estate broker and I work for this company. Right,
because that seller's relying on the company for impartial advice. And the disclosure requirement here should be given in writing.
Wasn't there a situation in Hawaii when you were practicing law there?
I had the exact case when we had a real estate agent who was marketing a condominium on the beach, and the market was a little bit slow. The seller was very impatient. After 6 months, the agent went to the seller and said, you know, I'm looking for an investment property. I'll buy this. And the seller said, that's great. That's fabulous. They signed the contract. And about 3 weeks into the closing process, the market took off. And suddenly that condominium went up $30,000, $40,000. The seller, who was a Los Angeles attorney, read the Code of Ethics, read our state licensing law, realized that there was no disclosure in writing that this particular buyer was licensed with the listing brokerage firm, and used that as a basis to get out of the contract.
I mean, actually stated he was licensed, but didn't say he was licensed with that particular firm.
That's correct. He said, I was licensed in the state of Hawaii, but he didn't say that he was licensed with the listing broker. And that was deemed to be disclosure of his true position, what this article talks about.
Standard of Practice 4-1, for the protection of all parties, the disclosures required by Article 4 shall be in writing and provided by realtors prior to the signing of any contract. In writing. And most states actually require real estate contracts to be enforceable, that they be in writing.
That's exactly what the Los Angeles attorney referred to here, and it wasn't in writing anywhere. That was a hard $30,000 loss for that particular real estate agent who hadn't read the Code of Ethics.
Actually, it's not that uncommon for realtors to not state properly exactly what their position is in a transaction. They don't really understand this particular standard of practice as it relates to this article of the code.
And you know, many real estate agents do sell and buy properties for their own account. And they need to be cautioned. If they are buying properties that are listed with their company, there has to be very extensive disclosure so that the sellers of that property don't later come back when the property happens to be sold for a high profit and allege that there was any type of concealment or misrepresentation and inadequate representation. So written, complete disclosure is very important when you're buying or selling for your own account.